We have more evidence that the all-woman space flight was actually faked or a hoax, or was it? And guys, make sure and click the plus sign. I'm gonna have more on this, subscribe, and sound off in the comments. Tell me what you think, what you see, and what you hear. But I wanna go over this because I did a video the other day detailing one of the biggest things that came out as to why people think this was fake, and now there's even more evidence. Check this out. So after the whole open door latch debacle, then allegedly on the live stream, this came up in the window. This is a plastic hand, and that is a dummy. And people said, well, hold on, this means they didn't go to space. What is this? Why is this in there? It was fake. However, there's more to the story. Allegedly, this wasn't actually taken from the space flight itself. This was from a different one, and that is a dummy because they have used test dummies. However, there are some other things. This is the capsule after they landed, and do you notice how it looks compared to the one where Elon went and saved those astronauts? Let's check it out. This is what that thing looked like. Look how destroyed it looks. Now, what you're seeing, that's not necessarily dirt. I mean, some of it might be. That's burn marks from re-entry. That's from it coming back. So a lot of people are saying there's no way they could have gone to space because there were no burn marks on it. What's going on? But there may be more. So from my understanding, they didn't go up far enough in space to come back and have all those burn marks and have all of that debris. But on top of that, there is new technology and there are new things right now that they are inventing so that when they come back, they might not necessarily have all the same marks that some of them on there did. Now, I'm not a scientist, I'm not an astronaut. I did do some digging and that's what some of the experts said. But now there are some things I just can't explain. I want you to look at all the beautiful women that were in space. And they were, guys. I'm not just gonna sit and knock them like some people. They are gorgeous women up there, and they look like they're having fun, which is great. But you notice something odd? Look at their faces. They are in full glam. Look at their hair. Their hair is perfect. And if you look, some people are saying it's not even really floating that much for the fact of where they are and where the gravity level should be. But do you see how perfect everybody looks? Here's what's odd. For what they went through, going through all these G's to go up in space, it's going to make you look like a mess. So did they bring makeup? Did they do touch-ups on their hair and their makeup? But I thought they only had 11 minutes in this process. So how did they go into this just looking perfect? Do they just look that way naturally all the time, no matter how many G's they go up in space? And this is another thing people have issue with. Do you see how perfectly and beautiful that shot is? Many people think this isn't real and this was just CGI. Now you'll see that it cuts to parts where you see Gayle King and her best friend Oprah's there and so emotional, upset, and some of the other people, but people are saying these were either actors or they were staged by these people. Now I can't quite corroborate any of this, but here's what I find interesting. Going up, we have no video footage from inside the capsule. Now, when they get up to space, as we've seen, they were doing all kinds of acrobatics and had little toys and different things, and there were cameras all in it. We know there were cameras there and cameras in it, so why don't we actually see them going up? We also don't see them on the descent down. And many people think because of that, they didn't actually go. Why would they not, at the very least, release the footage so we can all see it? Some other things that don't make sense to people. Why weren't they wearing helmets on the way up or oxygen masks? There are all these different things that you are supposed to do upon takeoff and going up there that allegedly they didn't do at all. You're supposed to have extensive and intensive training to go up there. It is at least a 2-year training period, and to be considered an actual astronaut, you need 2 years at the minimum of training, as well as degrees in engineering and space and all of these different things. They had 2 days. In those 2 days, allegedly, they were basically told how to unbuckle their seatbelt, get in and out of their seats so they could take their photos, which doesn't make a ton of sense. Now, one maddening thing is that Gayle King has been on interviews getting really upset, going, for people who say this was just a ride, don't call it a ride, this was frivolous. We are astronauts, we are actually astronauts, and just kept saying this over and over. But no, you're not, because the astronaut classification would be that 2-year training, which you guys didn't do. That's like going on a plane and then claiming that you're a pilot as a passenger. You were a passenger on this alleged flight, if anything else. Then Gayle King said at one point that Katy Perry started singing What a Wonderful World to everybody. She said that we had asked her to sing, we kept saying, sing Firework or sing all these different songs, and she'd say, no, 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 it's not about me, it's about us and the journey in space. But apparently, they said after they were in 0 G's, she got back into her seat and started singing What a Wonderful World. I have questions about this. How did she sing What a Wonderful World? She got into her seat and they're dissenting. How did she do that? Because if they didn't have helmets on, I'm not sure that they even had any comms on for them to hear each other. I'm going to assume it's pretty loud coming in. And Katy is not necessarily, I'm going to say this kindly because I am a vocalist. She's not the best vocalist. She's an okay singer. She's an entertainer, not the best vocalist. Are you telling me that she is belting her voice louder than all of those engines for everybody to hear her upon re-entry when they don't have comms or their helmets or anything else? Does that make any sense to anybody? Now, this is kind of a funny one. A lot of people have commented on Gayle King's appearance. When Gayle King comes out of the craft, she looks absolutely perfect and flawless, just like everybody else. But here's one difference. Gayle King is wearing an obvious wig. She's wearing a wig. So you're telling me when you're doing those G's up and down with the descent that somehow her wig not only stayed on, but it stayed on perfectly. And guys, I'm not knocking somebody wearing a wig. I think she's beautiful. And a lot of people wear wigs. If I could get away with wearing one, I probably would. So I'm not knocking her for her beauty choices in any regard. But how did she come out looking like that? How did they all come out that way? And even if they did have touch-up, how would you have the time? Make that make sense to me. And I want you to hear what she has to say about all that singing.
The best part was when we got back in our seats after 0 G's, Katy sang What a Wonderful World.
She did?
Isn't that nice?
Oh, come on.
She sang What a Wonderful World. I see
Did you get
dreams.
yourself
Oh,
crying?
yes.
Oh.
Because we'd been asking her to sing all the time, and she wouldn't. And then, because everybody said, sing Roar, sing Fireworks. And she said, it's not about me. I wanted to talk about the world.
Wow.
I know, isn't that nice?
That's
You got to ask her about that. This is what bothers me, because I've certainly read some of the things online coming from people that I know, that I like, that I consider friends. And this is what I would say to that. Space is not an either or, it's a both and. And because you do something in space, doesn't mean you're taking anything away from Earth. And what you're doing in space is trying to make things better here on Earth. What Blue Origin wants to do is take the waste here and figure out a way to put it in space to make our planet cleaner. I mean, Jeff Bezos has so many ideas, and the people that are working there are really devoted and dedicated to making our planet a better place. That's number one. Number two, have you been? Have you been? If you've been and you still feel that way after you come back, please let's have a conversation. Number three, please don't call it a ride. That is not a friggin' ride. Whenever a man goes up, you have never said to an astronaut, boy, what a ride. You know, we duplicated the same trajectory that Alan Shepard did back in the day, pretty much. No one called that a ride. It was called a flight. It was called a journey, because a ride implies that it's something frivolous or something that's lighthearted. There was nothing frivolous about what we did and the machine that we were on, and what it took for the people to get that machine up and running, to get us up and get us back down safely. So, you know, I'm very disappointed and very saddened by it. And I also say this. What it's doing to inspire other women and young girls, please don't ignore that. I've had so many women and young girls reach out to me, and men too, by the way, men too, that say, wow, I never thought I could do that, but I see you doing it at this stage of my life. Who would have thunk it? Not me. And how inspired they.
There's not enough time in this video for me to respond to all this, but the audacity that this rich woman who's friends with Oprah wants to look at us and tell us we don't get to have any thoughts or opinions about this until we go. No, Gayle, that's the whole point why people are making fun of you guys. Nobody else could afford to do that. And there's another part that I'm going to touch on more if you guys want. I think there's an intuitive part that all of us knows is BS, because deep down inside of all of us, we know ETs exist. We know aliens exist. We know UFOs exist. We know we should all be flying around in our own UFOs, and we should all have free energy, anti-gravity energy devices. Why the billionaires like Jeff Bezos gatekeep all of this technology from us and send them up there to just tear us down. What do you guys think? Tell me your thoughts, sound off in the comments, make sure and subscribe. I'm gonna have more.